Welcome to WXTV, your online source for weatherization training. This episode marks the first of our series on multifamily weatherization. It's an emerging area of the industry and one that could affect hundreds of thousands of low-income individuals. We'll be heading to New York and checking in with Andy Padian, who will guide us through a few multifamily projects in the Syracuse area.
Whatever county or state you're in, there's a housing authority near you that needs money and needs weatherization and is full of income-eligible tenants. And you may think it'll be too much of a pain to deal with, but as you see the kind of work that we did in there, you'll see that that scope of work really wasn't that tough and not much different from what you do. This is Andy Padian. I'm with the Community Preservation Corporation. We're based in New York City. We are a not-for-profit mortgage lending facility. This year, the Community Preservation Corporation requested weatherization money through the ARA funding to do weatherization of multifamily buildings upstate. As many of you weatherization agencies know, it's really hard to do multifamily buildings, or at least you kind of perceive it as being hard. The first building we're going to look at is a building that's going to be very similar to the type of buildings you see across the country. It's a series of two-story buildings. There's 31 buildings, 188 total units. It's called Malone Village. It's in Auburn, New York. They are row house, two-story buildings. Every apartment has its own furnace, every apartment has its own hot water heater, and what we're doing in those buildings is a series of retrofits to change the hot water heater, change the furnace, air seal the apartments, add high-efficiency fluorescent lighting, add new refrigerators. We're doing 30 windows in the total complex that were not done as part of the first retrofit in the building. And the housing authority is run by a really, really great executive director who you'll get to meet. And we're weatherizing how many of your units?
188.
How many buildings?
31.
And weatherization made a requirement of you that you had to make a contribution as part of the work here.
Correct.
So your contribution was replacing the roofs that needed to be done.
Correct.
That protected the weatherization materials, the attics that were fully insulated.
I expected it to be far more difficult working with an outside agency in addition to multiple contractors, because right now we're dealing with a roofing contractor, a gutter contractor, furnace and hot water heaters, lighting, aerators, a weatherization contractor, and the refrigerator replacement contractor. So we've got at least 5 different contractors we're dealing with, and it's helped immensely. I haven't had to do a whole lot in terms of coordinating anything. CPC did all of the specs for us, which was extremely helpful. They speak to code enforcement for us. They manage the project and stay on top of things for us, so that's been very helpful.
So actually, the weatherization director, Andrew D'Agostino, is here. Why did you like doing this weatherization job?
Well, I think mainly it helps. It's twofold, this sort of job, because this is a tenant or an owner pay utilities for 188 residential units. It's really a big job. It's going to dramatically lower the operating expenses for the property for the Auburn Housing Authority, and it's going to increase the tenants' essentially way of life, the quality of life, because you're going to have a lot warmer units. You're going to have longer lasting and more even hot water. It's really also going to create a nice health and safety. It's really going to make it a nice, safe complex.
The housing authority pays a master gas bill and a master electric bill. They pay one electric bill and one gas bill for all of the apartments in this complex. And the really bad part for them is that the tenants can keep the heat and the electric at whatever rate they, at whatever temperatures they want. They can keep the lights on.
So
These are the original 1955 Lennox furnaces. Oh my God, you can see those old gas jets in there. And this is actually a fairly efficient furnace, but the pieces are hard to find on them right now. But if you look at the size of this furnace for an 800 square foot or 900 square foot apartment, it's sort of silly. These are the atmospheric gas hot water makers that are everywhere in the United States. And if you look at their rating plates, they're rated at 60% AFUE. So we're pulling them all and we're putting 92% sealed combustion. If you walk up the stairs here, we'll show you the apartment. This is what the apartments look like. Kind of a nice kitchen. They've got to redo this apartment. It's been beat up for a long time. They're old fixtures from 1955. And they're pretty functional, even though they don't have GFI plugs and all that stuff on it that we're supposed to have. But again, we couldn't afford to change all of those. There's a fluorescent up here in the kitchen, and we couldn't afford to change that because we're making big changes in the building. The returns in the basement, I don't know if you saw, but none of the returns were connected in the basement. So it's a free return. So the basement had the possibility of backdrafting the hot water heater, all stuff that everybody knows, but it's the same thing in a multifamily building. So what we're doing is we're having the contractor pull all of these grates off from 1955, seal the duct at each wall penetration, and then connect ducts down in the basement to the new furnace. And we'll do that with the both the supply and the return on the furnaces. But if you want to see what these apartments are like, the workmen aren't here, but they have been working. They're small, 2-bedroom apartments. This is kind of the average. Oh, this is a 3-bedroom because it's an end unit. But when we came here, these buildings were at 25% vacancy. They'll be in single digits really soon. And that's a really good thing for weatherization to do. Yeah, they had new wood double pane windows when we got in here because they did what every housing authority building does. They put windows in and they insulate the attic. And we crawled up in the attics, and whoever did the job did really, really good work. So we're happy with that scope of work. Okay, let's go look at one that's finished. These are both really high efficiency sealed combustion furnace and hot water maker. 5 contractors bid on this, Andrew? 7. And in fact, the guy that we gave the contract to said that he didn't have to lay off workers now. And the company that got it is in Auburn, so we dumped money right back into the local economy for a total of hundreds of new furnaces and hot water heaters throughout the building. And when these are running full blast, you won't even hear them. Notice the difference in size with this. And as Andrew walks upstairs, he'll show you what the difference between a rehabbed apartment and the old apartments look like. But these are the apartments when they sand the walls, put a new countertop in. This is probably one of our new Energy Star refrigerators. Yep. Our pre-refrigerators were at about 750 kilowatt hours per year. And these are below 400, probably closer to 350. So do the math. Electricity is 15 cents a kilowatt hour here. So it's a lot of savings for the housing authority, and it gives them flexible spending money, which they desperately need. Stephanie was real polite about talking about it earlier, but the fact that she could work with a weatherization agency and get us to put the whole bid package together and bid it and tell HUD that she had to do the roofs as part of weatherization sped up the process. And as we walk outside, you'll see a roof going on next door. These roofs were in really bad shape. So on a 32-degree day, they're tearing all these roofs off. And they're going to put all new roofs on here, I think on 17 or 18 of the 30-some buildings here. Again, a big problem for these buildings was water leaks. So in all the buildings that we went to after a rain, we saw this puddling in the basement that you just can't avoid because there's water gushing down straight off the roof down the side of the building. So we also called for the replacement of all the gutters. And you can see that the gutters are really nice. They haven't put the leaders on yet because they had too much snow. But the contractor matched the gutters to the brick as close as he could. This is a great job here because these buildings, you saw the moisture problems in the basement, and you wouldn't think that you can take weatherization money and add gutters to it. But it was really important to get the water away from the building. If you look around the foundation of all of these buildings, you'll see green that came right up the walls because the water just poured down from every direction. And we have photographs all through our audit of how much moss had come up on the sides of the buildings and probably mold growth and stuff like that. We're stopping all that now. It's a really good addition that we did to the building, and again, the owner paid for it. And that's really the beauty of doing a multifamily building audit and weatherizing multifamily buildings, because you can talk to the building owner and you can say to him, look, we can do this whole scope of work, but we're really worried about the insulation in the roof. You know, the insulation that's in the attic cavity falling apart. Will you please pay for roofs? And it was no discussion at all. It's very important to speak to them as an investor. They own these buildings. They want to keep these buildings. It's a different story with this building. This is a housing authority building. But the owner of the building and the executive director and the board is so behind us on this job because there are incredibly low-income people in here. They had high vacancy rates. Improving the building all of a sudden starts filling up the building for them. And remember this in multifamily buildings, that the biggest problem for a multifamily owner is an empty unit. And the most cost-effective thing for them to do is fill that unit. And if that unit has a new furnace in it, a new hot water heater, an insulated roof, you have a guy come in with a blower door and air seal it, you've got a unit that's going to be significantly less expensive for someone to live in, and they'll stay in it a lot longer. And stability of tenancy is what multifamily building owners want. It's really expensive for someone to move out. It's really expensive for them to have a vacant unit. And they're going to go from, I think it was close to 30% vacancy when we came here. They're in single digits now. The other building is really different, and it may not be the norm in your state or county, but they exist all over the country, at least in cold weather climates. This is a 5-story elevator building, all seniors, 131 apartments in Canandaigua, New York, which is between Syracuse and Rochester, as Auburn is. The owner pays for gas usage for hot water and gas usage for washing machines that are in the laundry room. There's no washing machines or dryers in the apartments. And the owner pays for electric in the common area hallways. So the tenants pay for all their own electric in their own apartments, and they're electrically heated. This is 80 Parish Street in Canandaigua, New York, in the beautiful Finger Lakes, one of the most beautiful places in the world, and if you haven't been here, you should. This is a 133-unit senior citizen complex that we came to a little under a year ago. The owners had just added new air conditioner sleeves because the tenants complained that they needed air conditioning occasionally, so they added air conditioner sleeves, and of course now the air conditioner sleeves were leaking. So we came and we did an energy audit of the building, and we found out that the hot water system was designed when the building was designed in the 70s and hadn't been changed. This is the whole problem with these old multifamily buildings that everybody replaces with same. So we had a 1950 hot water heater continually replaced with a 1950 atmospheric gas hot water heater. And there were 2 of them. They weren't on a lead lag control. So we wanted to change those with high efficiency units. We were just in with the manager, Wanda, who you'll meet in a minute. And she's one of the best managers we've ever dealt with. And that's a real big thing in multifamily buildings. If you can find a really good manager that you can talk to and say, hey, listen, we can give you $2,000 an apartment and we can really make the building more comfortable. And if they get that and they're willing to contribute with you, you have a great partner. Well, Wanda's a great partner and she got it. So we'll show you what's inside the building.
Well, one of the things that we did was we air sealed each unit in the building, 131 units, and as part of the air sealing, each unit has a built-in air conditioner into the walls. So there's a wall cut with an air conditioner in. And one of the biggest complaints was, and one of the things we noticed when we did blower door testing on each unit, was the large amount of airflow that came through the cut in the wall. So what our contractor decided was it'd be a great idea to sort of build a box, insulate the box, and make it stay on the wall permanently with a removable door, so in the summertime you can turn your air conditioning on and you have there's no obtrusions to the air conditioning. What this did was help us achieve on an average of 25% reduction in airflow through the units. And so we've heard from Wanda, the building manager, in her office, we put one of these in. She said it's instantly warmer when the box is put in.
Quite significantly so.
So these have been a fairly good success, and we hope to be able to use these in other buildings and sort of pass the word around that something as simple as this can really eliminate a lot of the cold air that flows through a cut into the wall. Had these fabricated at a local company and painted them to match the walls, put them on, and there we go. In the bathrooms, we did your, again, traditional single-family home items plus one. We actually put 1.75 gallon shower heads in. We put half-gallon aerators in the faucets. We replaced all the lighting with from incandescent. Yep. So it gives you an idea of the 4 bulb fixtures, which had 4 60-watt incandescent bulbs in there prior. And then we also changed the ventilation fan in the bathroom to be a more efficient, much quieter, more efficient, and a fan that when you turn it on actually does what it's supposed to do.
It moves air.
It moves air, exactly. And also in the bathroom, again, too, we pulled off all the backs of fixtures and air sealed throughout and made sure everything was airtight in here.
Wanda, what's the major complaint from the tenants about the new ventilation fans?
It's a whisper series, so it's very quiet, so they think it doesn't work.
Yeah, my fan doesn't work. Yes, it does.
These are sort of top of the line Lars, 94 or 96% efficient units, and this unit is on right now, and it's not making any noise, but it takes air from the outside and puts air directly to the inside. So again, there's no backdrafting, there's no spillage, and these are the original storage tanks that came with the building, so we just reutilized them. And these are on a lead lag system, which means that if the building, all 133 units, only need one to do the heat, that's all it'll do. So this is a pretty simple retrofit. We just looked at Wanda's gas bill. So 2 new boilers, 133 shower heads, aerators, whatever. I have the numbers here. We had 46% savings. I guess I put that here. 46% savings in gas in 1 month. They went from 711 therms to 381 therms. My math says that's a reduction of 40-something%. That's a home run. And those are the kind of things you can get in a multifamily building if you just look at the big bills. We looked at the big bills. We just looked at the water bill. Of course, I just put that away. The water bill from this time last year is 21% smaller. It was a retrofit that probably beginning to end took a month. The energy audit took about a month. I did the energy audit. It's not hard to do a multifamily energy audit, but you've got to have the software to do it. You can get multifamily audit software through the weatherization program. It's called Equip. It's online. It's pretty easy to use. This is a classic HUD-style senior citizen building, and there's one of these in your counties. And the number one complaint we're getting in this building right now from the tenants is their apartments are too hot.
Well, that's it for another episode of WXTV. We're really excited about this new series. This was just the tip of the iceberg, and we hope that Andy's segments help make multifamily weatherization a little less daunting for some of you. And if you've been doing this for a while and have some unique buildings to share on WXTV, we'd love to hear from you. and thanks for watching. WXTV, your online source for weatherization information, techniques, and expert advice.